Welcome back to Squelch, the video game book club. I'm Dano.
I'm Mad at Arms.
And I'm Storm Rage, and we're here to remind you that Dragon Age Origins is a game, and G's have different sounds depending on the word that they are in. And games are supposed to be fun. This week, we're in Orzammar and the Deep Roads, and we just never leave. That place goes on and on and on, and I think I'm still in that somehow. And that means that we only have 3 weeks left of Dragon Age Origins until we get into Dragon Age Awakening and then Dragon Age 2. Next week, we're going to the Landsmeet, the Earl of Denerim's estate, Fort Drakon, and the Elven Alienage.
So, is it Dragon Age or Jiffins?
Oh, I get it. It's a GIF joke.
Mm-hmm, Yeah, it sounded better in my head. Let me put it that way. And that's
organs are actually a thing, though. So I mean, like organs.
Yeah.
It's like it's a bunch of dragons playing organs. Which somebody make that, please.
Origins. There we go. That's what I was supposed to say. Origins.
Yeah, but that's just the word.
It's just 100% the word.
Yeah, you're right.
You just put a funny emphasis on the correct syllable is all you did. It wasn't even the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. It was the right emphasis on the right syllable is what you did. You just did a thing with your hand that nobody could see.
Exactly.
Which I did like. I did like it.
I mean, I have all these jokes in the show notes, and I put them in after Storm Rage reviewed all the jokes and took out all the bad jokes. So I make sure all the bad jokes are reinserted back into the show.
A little inside baseball. So I put together a rough draft of the show notes. And then I'm like, Storm Rage, fix it, make it not bad. And he goes, I cut like a page of it. I was like, and as long as the good jokes are still in there, that's all that matters. It's incoherent, and then he makes it coherent, which I appreciate very much.
That's not true. I go, how self-referential can we be? Probably not that self-referential, and then I delete a few things.
Those are my favorite bits. Oh no, they're gone.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. They're out.
I won't even realize what parts are gone. You're like, you put anything back in that you think that we've been missing. I'm like, I wouldn't even know what you cut. So this is it. We're actually almost finished up with Origins. We have 3 weeks left this week, next week, and the following. Next week we go to Landsmeet, Earl of Denerim's estate, Fort Drakon, and Elven Alienage. Matt, you'll be happy to hear this is like 4 hours max. And then from there we go to the final battle, which is like 2.5 hours. So
it's as long as I don't have to go in some like dwarven tombs or dwarven anything, I'm happy at this point.
What about another dwarven city? What about like a 5th dwarven city that is the same as all the other dwarven cities with so many darkspawn and ruins and things to loot?
Spiders.
And spiders.
I mean the spiders are fine.
Are they with the overwhelm ability? Gosh, I am tired of being overwhelmed.
Yeah, I was very overwhelmed. Yes.
And we'll get into that when we get to a couple of the DLCs. It is the devs' favorite move for every mob to do is just overwhelm. So it's like there's literally like parts of the game where my tank, like their entire purpose was just to be on the ground being overwhelmed while the archers and mages just pick off the beasts that are overwhelming the tank. And I'm like, this is great. I love this for me. This is so wonderful. I actually, like I said, I finished up Origins Awakening in the DLC this weekend. Super excited to talk about it. We have a ton to talk about this week because Orzammar and the Deep Roads went on forever.
Yeah, maybe a bit too long, perhaps.
Forever. Let's go. Thanks, patrons.
Thanks. I am pretty incredible.
Sorry,
thanks.
Wall. Hey, thank you so much, patrons and Twitch subs. We appreciate your support so very, very, very much. Both of you get the After Dork in our Discord, and then $5 and above patrons get the unedited podcast the day that we record it. It's usually a day or two before it's released. So today it'll be on Monday, usually it's on a Sunday. But yeah, we appreciate everything you do. If you want to support us, you can go over to twitch.tv/DanoPlay. The O is a 0 because I'm cool. Or Twitch or patreon.com/squelch. So thank you all so very, very, very much. And congratulations to Nya on getting engaged. That's awesome. So excited.
Mm-hmm.
That's so great. All right, cool. Should we hop into the lore?
Sure.
This one's a real page turner.
All right, Matt, you just did a bang-up job last week. Can you tell us what we did in 74 seconds or less?
All right. So we ventured deep in Forest Green to lands where few had ever been. No one incel here and jungle wild. Where danger lurked and nature smiled. We met a man, his heart was torn, his wife a beast by curse was sworn. A werewolf fierce beneath the moon, we ended her dark fate. A little too soon. Through shadowed groves we crept and stole fine iron bark and ancient soul. In tombs we tread where spirits slept and maybe took what none had kept. A man came and all questions asked, in riddle strange his truths were masked. A talking tree in rhyming tone spoke secrets in a voice like stone. We learned the curse had roots in grief, an elven lord consumed by grief. The humans killed his love, his kin. So he let the I can't say that word. Begin. Werewolf thing. Begin.
Lycanthropy.
Lycanthropy, yes, thank you. But vengeance fades like mist at dawn. We fought, he fell, or he moved on. Thus ends our tale in forest deep, where wounds won wild in shadows sleep. We also did the Wreckage of the Normandy DLC, except the Normandy was the Castle Ostegar, and the Mako was King Calen, and we got some good loot.
The Mako was King Calen, and that was really good. I love the rhyming forest tree. That was pretty great. Nice job. And the
Now you
Mako
have to do that every time, Matt. Look what you've done to yourself.
Yeah, you get to do a poem every single time now. I want to be a limerick next week.
Limerick? Okay. I'll see what I can do.
A 74-second limerick.
I mean, it's going to be about, like, this section was way too long. It's going to be that for 74 seconds.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we move on to the other lore? Who are we playing? Who's in our party, Dano?
Yeah, so we've got Alistair, a human Templar warrior, one of 2 Grey Wardens left, the other being the protagonist, Dragon Age Origins. He is an heir to the throne of Ferelden because his dad was king. His mom was a servant. They want to put Alistair on the throne. Dog is our dog. Dog is a good boy. Dog can't get overwhelmed, which makes Dog the best boy. Mm-hmm. Leliana is an Orlesian bard and Chantry Lay's sister, which means she did a lot of crime, then went to live in a convent. Morgan is a shapeshifter and apostate mage who we met in the Korkari Wilds. Her mother, Flemeth, insisted we take Morgan along with us to stop the Blight. Did you want to read this part?
And also, then we went to go kill her mother, and her mother is either off or off, and we've got her grimoire.
We do have her grimoire, which made Morgan happy, and now Morgan is our friend. Well, my friend at least, which I think is kind of fun. Stun is a Canary warrior who was in prison for killing a family after he lost his sword. They didn't even take his sword. He just got mad that his sword was missing, so he did a multi-person murder. So good for him. Wynn is a healer and circle mage, and she is dead, being kept alive by a spirit. Shale is our rock buddy. She used to be controlled by a mage who messed around with demons and found out what happens when you mess around with demons. Zevran
find out.
Yes, 100% found out. And Zevran is an Antivan crow hired by Logan in Arhal to assassinate the Warden. After his failure to kill the Warden, he decides to join our party because that seems facer than going off to face the music. Did I miss anyone or anything?
Nope.
No, we meet somebody new this week.
We do meet someone new this week. We meet Ogren, who is a dwarf warrior who drinks a little bit too much. A lot.
It was a bit inappropriate in his conversations with Wynn and
Leliana. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's quite the character. You have to like accept him for the time that when she was written, 2005 to 2007. He's also an awakening, by the way, and doesn't get a lot better. Though, like, the way he treats women does get better, but, like, the character itself, not that much better. All right, let's get to the recap.
Duncan, are your men ready for battle?
They are, Your Majesty.
Thank you, Duncan. Off we go to Orzammar, never to return. The Dwarven Kingdom is in a never-ending battle with the Darkspawn, so surely this one will be super-duper easy, and definitely not the longest section of the game we've ever played. We will assuredly just explain the situation of the king, present the treaty, he will give us an army of dwarves with a lifetime's experience fighting the Darkspawn, we return to the surface and we destroy the Darkspawn army, easy peasy lemony squeezy. So, we enter the Frostback Mountains, which is where the entrance into the underground kingdom of the dwarves is located, and find the gates sealed. Well, we've dealt with worse than a sealed gate. At least there aren't any werewolves or possessed Templars to deal with. All we have to do here is deal with a locked gate. Nice. And a messenger from Loghain, who is being a big baby about not being let into Orzammar. He tells the guard about how big of a deal he is and how cool he is because Loghain is so awesome and neat. The guard doesn't really seem to care about Loghain or this messenger, but the messenger cares a lot about us. He just can't handle the fact that we're a big deal as a Grey Warden and that we can get into Orzammar, but he can't. We are presented with two different options. Option one, who cares, because you're gonna want to kill him. The option other two, it doesn't matter. Because the option is you should kill him because he's a very bad boy, and I do not like anybody that works for Loghain. Why would you start that? Matt, Dano, what'd you guys choose here?
I killed him. How about you, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, yeah, just straight up murder at the gate, and then like, hey, can I get in now? He's like, yeah, go ahead. I hated that guy anyway. It was
like,
great.
So glad he's not talking anymore. Go on along in. So we both played dwarves, Matt, and this is kind of a fun section for us because Dwarven society is very caste-based, and we're going to get into that in a second here. But how did the dwarves treat you at the gate? Because you're casteless, right?
Yeah, I'm casteless. I have the face tattoo. They do not like me because I'm casteless and I have a face tattoo, so I'm trash.
Yeah, you should try murder, like having been the one who murdered your brother, who was the heir to the throne, which I didn't do, but I was framed. So Prince Balin, who we'll meet here in a second, framed me. So he actually murdered our oldest brother and then framed me for doing it. And they just call me a murderer the entire time. It's like, oh, hey, welcome back, murderer. Can you do any more murderer? You're a bit of a murderer there, aren't you? I mean, you're a warden now, but, you know, so you can do your thing, but all right, murderer.
yeah. I mean, I think I was basically called castless trash and a murderer because I did kill, because you know, I had the audacity to like break up the big fighty thing, the big ceremonial fighty thing they were doing. Yeah,
there's a fight like what's it called? It's like a gladiator type duel, right?
Yeah, there's some ceremonial fighting thing you do
There's a fight. Yeah,
it's
an arena.
Yeah. So yeah, it was quite amusing because they really, like, some of them were like, "Oh, hey, welcome back. We missed you. You weren't the one who was lying all the time." And most of them were like, "Hey, we take everything at face value that was presented to us, and you're a murderer." I was like, "But I'm not. But whatever. Just call me Grey Warden." I didn't introduce myself as like my name the whole time. I'm like, "No, just call me Grey Warden. It's cool. I'm Grey Warden. I'm Grey Warden. Hi, it's me, Grey Warden."
Hi, I'm still the Grey Warden. What other name? No, I'm just the Grey Warden. Don't worry about it.
Hello, Steve, Grey Warden. It's kind of great.
Now that we are inside, it's time to go chat up the king. Except apparently the king is dead? Not ideal. That's going to put a stick in our spokes. Oh, who are these two people, and all those people around them? Well, there's Prince Balin and Lord Harrowmont. They seem important. And they're arguing about which one of them should be in charge of Orzammar, so they're certainly important. Just, they're arguing out here in the middle of nowhere, where everybody can see and observe, and miraculously, a supporter of Prince Balin just stabs and kills a supporter of Lord Harrowmont for a slight disagreement. And no one does anything. Everyone just watches it and goes, well, back to your corners. Alrighty. It is one of the more insane things that that happens in this section. But first things first, we need to discover what is actually going on here, other than, street murder. We ask around and learn that the guy we need to talk to is called Steward Bandalore. Steward Bandalore is located in the Diamond Quarter, which is a really good time for us to stop and talk about the location and politics of Orzammar. Cue Dano.
Yes. So, first things first, Dwarven society is broken up into different castes that a dwarf is born into with very, very little movement in between them. There is the noble caste, which is the ruling caste of Orzammar. Next are the middle castes, the warrior caste, the smith caste, the artisan caste, the mining caste, and the merchant caste. They all do pretty much exactly what they sound like. The mining caste mines, the merchant caste merchants, the artisan class artisans, and so on. Again, you are born into this caste. So if you are born into the warrior caste, but you really want to be a dancer, too bad. You are a warrior. Deal with it. You just can't. If you are a warrior caste, you have to be in the warrior caste. So the next is the servant caste. These are the cooks, the maids, the butlers, the bartenders of Dwarven society. Basically the bottom of the Dwarven period scheme, except for the caste list.
Did you say period scheme or pyramid scheme?
Pyramid scheme.
Got it.
Pyramid scheme. Yes, my bad. Pyramid scheme. Except for the caste list. So these are those who are born without a caste. They are branded on their face and are not allowed to do anything that is done by one of the castes. So a member of the caste list can't go join the army. They can't go and, be a maid. They can't go, be a bartender. They can become a beggar. They can go join the Carta and do crime, or they can beg on the streets. That's all they can do. It's great. It's so great. And then last are the surface dwarves. These are dwarves that have left for the surface or were born on the surface and are not welcome back into Orzammar. They are considered to be the same as the caste list. There are exceptions like joining the Grey Wardens or being ordered to go fight the Blight, but even then, some of the more conservative members of Dwarven society believe that those dwarves who have left Orzammar for the surface should not be allowed back in Orzammar, no matter the reason for them leaving. It's a pretty great place. Now let's talk about the different sections of the city of Orzammar. As you probably suspect, based on an area called the Diamond Quarter, Orzammar is broken up into 3 different sections. The Diamond Quarter, the Commons, and Dust Town. The Diamond Quarter is where the fancy people live and work. This is the home of the Royal Palace, House Harriman Estate, other fancy nobles we aren't worried about this time, the Assembly, which is a legislative body made up of members of the Dwarven noble caste. It is mostly just rich people arguing about how to best keep the rich people in charge of everyone else, but in a way that is best for everyone doing the arguing, so almost nothing ever gets done. That is the Assembly in a nutshell. The Shaperate is also located here, which is basically the historical society of Orzammar. It is a piece of information. If a piece of information is not recorded in the Shaperate, it is either unknown, lost in the deep roads, or ignored, because it probably makes someone powerful look bad. The Commons is the largest part of Orzammar. It is where the majority of dwarves live and work, including dwarven shops, assuming they can trace their lineage back 3 generations of the merchant caste. And then last is Dust Town. This is where the casteless live and where the Carta hideouts are located.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dano, for your encyclopedic knowledge of all things Dragon Age. Back to Steward Bandalore. He tells us that the Assembly isn't going to do anything without a king, and that either Prince Balin or Lord Harriman can help with the Blight, but that they probably aren't going to promise anything until they are appointed as the next king. That means it's time for us to play Kingmaker. Prince Balin believes that the ends justify the means. He believes that he is the best person to lead the dwarves into a new era, and he will do anything to get to that new era. He is also a progressive candidate and believes that the casteless dwarves should be allowed to fight against the Darkspawn to earn some limited rights. He also wants to loosen the restriction around the caste system and expand trade with the surface. Boiled down, good ideas, brutal execution. Good ideas, brutal execution. Lord Harrowmont, on the other hand, is a traditionalist who leans more towards isolationism. He doesn't believe the dwarves need to change and is happy with the caste system that has served the dwarves well for so long. He is an honorable person who won't do anything to accomplish their goals, but will do some things. generally, this is a good dude, problematic ideas. So you've got kind of the future, is it worth it? And the things aren't so bad, let's just keep them on. That sounds like it would hurt the vibe. Who did you guys pick and why?
Matt, do you want to start?
I'll start. So I picked Prince Balin, not for the reasons that I'm a castless dwarf and that, like, hey, I might move up to society. No, my sister is sharing a bed with him. Is exactly the reason. The sister in game is one of the.
Wow, that's a fun little nugget there.
Yeah, and my mom is also there, which is she's horrible. She's a horrible person. She's a horrible dwarf. She's just mean. And no matter what I do, she's just mean to me. But, like, yeah, so that's the main reason. It's like, well, if it's going to help my sister out, I might as well back this guy. Dan?
I also chose Prince Balin, even though he did a murder in my family and framed me for that murder, and then probably also killed our dad.
Yeah.
So this is the second time I played a dwarf noble, and the first time I chose Haramont, and then I got to the end of the game, and it like gives the epilogue of what happens for each thing, and then it goes into. And the reason I did this was because I was like, no, Balin's a terrible dwarf. He will do anything to get his way and is willing to stop at nothing to achieve his goals. And you know what? I want to see him get what's coming to him. So I backed up Haramont, and then the epilogue gets insights. You know, with King Haramont, the dwarves, nothing changes, and they lock up tight, and no one leaves or enters Orzammar, and the caste system stays entrenched. And I was like, oh, that's not what I wanted at all. I just thought my brother was a jerk. So this time I was like, okay, let's pretend that I know both Haramont and Balin, because I grew up in dwarven political society, and so I know that while Haramont is a fine dude, terrible ideas, terrible political opinions, and so therefore I have to go with the lesser of two weevils and go with my brother, who, while is not a good person, is going to at least lead the dwarves into a better future, I hope. And so instead, I decided to back Prince Balin, which was pretty fun because the writing was very much like, didn't actually think you'd come here to help, but if you want to help, cool. I guess I'm not going to stop you. So it was
right.
I mean, I'm not going to turn down assistance from somebody that I may have framed for murder. That's okay, all right.
Yeah, it was kind of great. It was actually really fun. I was kind of glad I decided to go that route. Because it was very much kind of like, I don't know if I should trust you, but I guess I have to in order to further the plot of this game. So here we are.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's the same thing. It was like, it's like, okay, you know, my sister is sharing a room in this palace. I might as well back the guy that, because I don't know the outcome if I back Haramount with the sister, right? Like
that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's probably in the wiki somewhere. I could go and look for that. That's actually a really good point. I'm not sure. I would guess that she probably. Oh, that might have been fun just to do to see what happens.
Right.
Yeah, that might need to be looked up at some point.
I have a quick save right before the end of this, so I'm tempted to see what happens.
Yeah, you always can go and look at like the consequences part of the quests, and that should be in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But what was fun was, I'm not sure about you, but after this is all over, they made me a paragon, and then also allowed me to join House Iduken again, even though I was like living on the surface. So like at the end, I got like everything back. I got to be like a member of the royal family again. I became a paragon. Like everything's coming up dwarf noble. Like it was pretty great.
Man, what a good little venture for Dano over there.
I mean, he just called me his brother. That's it.
You didn't become a paragon or anything?
No.
I'm a paragon.
I mean, I have a face tattoo. That looked bad on the statue.
That's fair enough. It's fair. I actually gonna say one of the options I'm gonna say is like he talks about stuff and he says, "Okay, now you're a paragon." I was like, or that happens later on, but he's like, "What can I do for you?" He's like, I said, build the statue of me as soon as possible. And he goes, "I'll see what I can do."
God, to have a statue of yourself as a paragon. The sheer ego rush that must
Right?
be.
It was fun. I never, I was glad I went that route. I was kind of disappointed that I chose Dwarf Noble again because I'd seen that story before, but I actually ended up being pretty happy with it because it is a really fun story arc, and like so much time is spent in the deep roads that it's pretty fun being a dwarf.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I am curious what if the elf story is interesting at the Brecilian wilds, if there's anything different there. Who's to say? Not me. Regardless of which side we pick, they are going to have some task for us to complete to prove we are on the same side. If we side with Bedlin, he wants us to expose a real estate scam that Harrowmont is using to get votes. And you might be thinking to yourself, wait, hold up. Didn't we just talk about how cool Harrowmont is as a person with bad ideas? And Balin is the one that would probably do this kind of thing? You're right. It's a double reverse scam. Balin is actually framing Harrowmont of a scam, and it's incredible. This is something that we can learn while doing some research by the Shaperate, or you can find it out just by listening to this podcast, because, boy howdy, I never would have figured this out on my own. We can either take this information to Harrowmont or keep it to ourselves, and Harrowmont, on the other hand, wants us to fight as his champion in the Proving, which is a fancy way to say a tournament, an arena, gladiator-style fight, things of that nature. We get into, we get to fight a handful of fights, some of them one-on-one, and others are team fights. We can also find out why Harrowmont's fighters backed out if we want, but it isn't required. And I didn't, so who's to say? Once we have proven our loyalty to our chosen king, they want us to kill Jarvia, the leader of the Carta, again, the underground gang here. They both want this, so this quest doesn't really change either way. This involves going into Dusttown, bribing and threatening or killing the right people to learn how to get into the secret tunnels of the Carta. The Carta hideout is conspicuously labeled as Suspicious Door. We have to fight our way through a small army to get to Jarvia. And Jarvia is a rogue with 3 waves of thugs who support her. The chamber that fights takes place is also covered in traps. So many traps. Make sure you're in a rogue, or at least a decent healer, and I will stop here for Matt, who has raised his hand so politely.
Yes. So for this section, for the Carta, the Jarvia's right-hand man in this was my buddy through the first section of the game. He ends up betraying us, sending us back to the house where we get jumped, and then we basically get ambushed, and then we go through the whole thing, and then we kill him and Jarvia at the end. It's great.
That's fun.
Wow.
Yeah,
That
so
is
there's
fun.
there's a lot of good story bits in here from the beginning of the game that are really great that I loved. So, anyway, continue.
That's very cool. So, we've successfully cleaned up the streets, fought for our guy, and or lied for our chosen king. We must have done enough for them to snag the throne and send some troops, and we can call it a day. Nope, we're about a third of the way there, friends. Apparently, the only way for either of these two dupes to get to the throne is for us to go and find Paragon Branca. Now, what is a Paragon, you ask? According to Dragon Age Wiki, Paragon is the title bestowed upon dwarves who have performed extraordinary feats and are recognized as so important that they are worthy of reverence within their own lifetime. They represent the pinnacle of dwarven excellence. They are also referred to as, living ancestors is the term that they use. Somebody that is so important that their history will live on forever. And this certainly seems like a pretty important person. How in the world do we manage to lose the pinnacle of dwarven excellence? The first one in 4 generations. Oh, it's a funny story. So you see, 2 years ago, Paragon Branca, the only Paragon named in the last 4 generations, took her entire house, minus her husband, more on that later, into the deep roads to find the Anvil of the Void. We know the Anvil of the Void is important because the A and the V are capital letters. The dwarves have not heard from Branca in the last 2 years, and therefore have presumed that she is dead. No one survives the deep roads for 2 years, we are told so many times. That makes our quest to get her a little complicated. Oh well, off we go to the main quest. Just the main quest, and we go.
Yeah, psych, no. First, we need to help people, which means it's time for some side questing. Okay. First up, we have Nug Wrangler Boromore. What's up with you? You've lost your nugs. That's fine. We'll find your nugs for you. What's a nug, you ask? It's a hairless pig/rabbit/rat/mole thing. and they're all over the place, so keep your eyes peeled. You find one nug, and he's like, thanks for bringing my nug back. There are a lot more nugs out there. Can you find them for me? And he gives you a barrel. And every time you find a nug, you put a nug in the barrel o' nugs that you keep in your inventory. And then as you find them, you bring the barrel of nugs back to him. And he goes, thanks, but there are more nugs out there. It's amazing.
There's so many nugs. I refuse to look. I found 3 of them. I'm like, I'm good.
I found at least 14 nugs. I believe. I know there are more out there. I didn't look for all of them though, because you don't get any bonus points. He just goes, thank you for the nugs.
It's like 12. It's like 12 silver too. Whenever you return one, it's not even that much.
So who else needs help? We've got nothing better to do. Oh, a sad lady Filda. What do you need? Your son is lost in the deep roads? Lucky you, because we're going into the deep roads. We'll find him, and he totally won't have gone crazy from eating darkspawn flesh to stay alive and beg us to tell you that he died instead of finding out the truth that he is completely off his rocker. That 100% is not going to happen. Next, you there, Dagna, what do you want? You want to abandon your caste and your family to go to the surface to study magic? That sounds great. We know a guy who can help with that. Off you go. Is that a dwarf in chantry robes? It sure is. That is super weird because dwarves worship their ancestors or something like that. What exactly do they worship? Okay, hold on. I'm going to look that up. Okay, so according to the wiki, the dwarves do not actually worship anthropomorphic gods. Instead, their philosophy promotes personal excellence and an intimate tie to the stone that houses them. Okie dokie then. So, what does Brother Burkle want? He wants to open a chance location in Orzammar, but he needs Shaper approval, but they don't want to give it to him. No problem. We'll just go and convince them. And now, Brother Burkle can open a chantry. Ooh, Dust Town. I bet there are a lot of sad people in Dust Town. Look, there's a sad person right there. She says she was cast out of her caste. I'm proud of that one. Because she had a son out of wedlock with a casteless man. Too bad it was a son, because children inherit the caste of the parent that is the same sex as them. So, instead of her child getting to join the mining caste, the boy child is casteless. Yikes. But you know what? Isn't the chantry supposed to help people out like this? I know a guy who can help. We'll just go talk to Brother Burkle. He'll take in your son and raise him in the chantry. We're on a roll. What's next? How about we read 5 random things about time? Wait, around town? That makes more sense. How about we read 5 random things around town and then go into the assembly hall and open a secret compartment that contains the key to the city. One of the best rings in the game. Check, 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 and check. I think we're about ready to go find Paragon Branca. But wait, isn't that Ogren, the drunk from the bar? He says that Branca is his wife, and he's been trying to organize a search party for years, and no one wants to help him. Well, we are going that way anyway, so welcome to the party, Ogren. Now, we're ready to go.
Finally, we can get back to main quests, the important things in this game. To find Paragon Branca, we have to go into the Deep Roads. You almost certainly remember all the way back in episode 1 of the series when we explain what the Deep Roads are. But here's a quick recap from the wiki. The Deep Roads are an underground grand network of enormous underground tunnels that once belonged to the Dwarven Empire, spanning the length and breadth of Thedas. Sweet. Too bad they are now almost entirely abandoned because they have been taken over by Darkspawn. Lucky for us, because of the Blight, the Deep Roads are mostly empty because the Blight is upstairs, but there are still a lot of Darkspawn that we do indeed need to kill. So, the Deep Roads are huge, and because they are so huge, we get another map. Similar to the one we got in Denerim, and I think we've got like 3 or 4 maps in this place. This place is huge!
Yeah.
We can return to the surface to restock or go to the camp as necessary. To get to the Anvil of the Void, we first need to go to the Aducan THAIG. THAIG? Is it THAIG? How it's pronounced?
THAIG.
It certainly is not spelled that way.
No.
Caradon's Crossed, Orton THAIG, and the Dead Trenches. Each of these are about as big as the Circle Tower. So it is a lot of stuff very quickly. First up is Aducan THAIG. There is nothing much here other than some sweet, sweet loots. In fact, if you are helping Harrowmont, you might not even go here. There's a pretty crazy fight against some Deep Stalkers and a Deep Stalker leader. Deep Stalkers are basically what if raptors from Jurassic Park had earthworm heads with teeth. They're gross and disgusting, and I don't care for them. Next up is Caradin's Cross. Caradin's Cross is where we start to pick up the trail of Branka, since this is where she was headed. Caradin is also a paragon of the Smith caste who founded Caradin's Cross around the time of the First Blight, and is also the creator of the Golems. Branka is looking for clues on how to create golems again. No one has been able to reach Caradin's Cross for centuries because of the Darkspawn. But again, Blight going on upstairs, less Darkspawn downstairs, so we think we can reach it. And just as we are getting there, insert hired thugs sent by an opposing faction leader here, and they try to stop us. But once we've killed the opposing faction thugs, we can find clues that Branka is heading to the birthplace of Caradin, Paragon Caradin, Orton THAIG. Another stellar, let us go to a different spot for this thing, as it just keeps going more and more and more in this place. On the way to Orton THAIG, we run into Darkspawn, we run into Shades, we run into Giant Spiders, we run into Golems, we run into Ruck. Remember when we said we would find Ruck and that we were certain that he totally hasn't been driven mad from eating Darkspawn flesh and would ask us to tell his mother that he died because he doesn't want her to find that he has essentially lost his mind? Yeah, we might have lied earlier. Turns out things aren't good when you just sit in tunnels with Darkspawn for 2 years on end. That probably doesn't have anything to do with what I'm about to talk about here in about 3 minutes. He has, in fact, totally been driven mad and has asked us to tell his mother that he died because he doesn't want her to know that he has lost his mind. Job's done. We do that. We eventually find Branka's journal, but in the middle of a giant spider nest, and not like little tiny spiders, but giant spiders. A giant corrupted spider queen, to be even more precise. Well, we have to kill the giant corrupted spider queen to get the journal, so we might as well get to killing. The Spider Queen loves to spit poison at anything on range, so get up close and personal and kill the bug. Now that we have Branka's journal, it says, go someplace else! She's not here!
Your princess is in another castle, indeed. Your paragon is in another THAIG.
Yep.
Oh, God. I was like, oh, cool. We're getting to the end. Oh, it's a book and she's not here. Oh, come on.
So all this sounds like, so it's presented very much like Denerim, where you have the map of Denerim and they have the different locations to go within Denerim. But the big difference between this and Denerim is the deep roads is just one long straight road. Like, you're going to different locations, but you're not like branching off the path at all. You're just going from Idukan THAIG to Orton THAIG to the Dead Trenches to the Anvil of whatever. And it's just one long path, and it's like, did we really need all of this?
Yeah. But also, like, the road is caved in sections, so you have to go off to these offshoots and go through these cave sections, and it's so much. It is so much. There's so much going on here. It's a lot, and a lot of it's like they're mobs everywhere, and none of them are that difficult to kill. It's just frustrating. It's just like, okay.
It gets very long. It's very fun and interesting. It's like the deep roads look like what you would imagine an underground dwarven like empire to look like, and like the way they're connected is very cool and it looks great. It's just like, did we need all the stops along the way to really get there? Like this first one with the spiders. I mean, did we need to fight a spider queen? I don't know that we needed to fight a spider queen. We could have skipped Orton THAIG, gone right to the Dead Trenches, and then it just feel like it needed a little bit of like, the editors. They could have cut. They could have cut a section here. Yeah, and it'd have been fine.
I think this is where the story actually starts to get interesting for me.
Yes.
We've had a lot of stuff. This is where things start to get, this is like the Dragon Age storytelling that I am used to. So, we head to the Dead Trenches. Formerly Bonemar? It can't be Bonemar.
It is
gotta
now.
Be Bonemar. Okay. Formerly Bonemar, more recently the City of the Dead, used to be the headquarters of the Legion of the Dead. Legion of the Dead is a dwarven military organization that anyone can join, similar to the Grey Wardens. No matter what your crime, caste, or lack of caste, you can always join the Legion of the Dead. When a dwarf joins the Legion of the Dead, they hold a funeral for the dwarf because they are officially dead once they join. The City of the Dead was designed by Caravan and was considered to be the greatest feat of dwarven architecture. It was fought over for thousands of years until it was permanently lost a few hundred years ago. The Legion of the Dead have taken this opportunity of Darkspawn being at the surface to try and take back some strategic bridges. We get to help them. There are 2 bridges we have to take back, filled with many, many, many waves of Darkspawn. We kill them because we're awesome, and as we venture through the deep roads, we begin to hear a female dwarf reciting a poem. First day, they come and catch everyone. Second day, they beat us and eat some for meat. Third day, the men are all gnawed on again. Fourth day, we wait and fear for our fate. Fifth day, they return, and it's another girl's turn. Sixth day, her screams we hear in our dreams. Seventh day, she grew as in her mouth they spew. Eighth day, we hated as she is violated. Ninth day, she grins and devours her kin. Now she does feast as she's become the beast. Now you lay and wait, for their screams will haunt your dreams. Once we finally catch up to her, we find a pale, blotchy dwarf showing signs of someone who has eaten darkspawn and contracted the taint. She says her name is Hespith, and that she was a member of Branca's expedition. She tells us that Branca fed her and her friend Laren some darkspawn, so that they would become brood mothers to make more darkspawn. More darkspawn for Branca to experiment on. After telling us this, she runs away into the deep roads. We chase her down into the hall, but she disappears. We run into more spiders, more darkspawn, some ogres, and oh my, and the ghosts of the Legion of the Dead. This part wasn't actually all that short, but it's mostly just a lot of fighting. Matt, I know, love this section. As we walk, we hear Hespith continue her story.
Yeah.
Did you actually like this part, Matt?
I like the whole Brewmother section. That was like a nice change of pace from like the just like, because like it got like, it's very Dwarven society is very like stiff cast based, and then it gets to this where it's just like we're in like some deep, dark, dank area where it's gone really bad.
Yeah,
and it's super cool.
I also agree. As we walk, we hear Hespith continue her story. The men, they kill. They're merciful. But the women, they want. They want to touch, to mold, to change until you are filled with them. Gross. They took Laren. They made her eat the others, our friends. She tore off her husband's face and drank his blood. Too much sharing? If I had to hear it, so do you. And while she ate, she grew. She swelled and turned gray, and she smelled like them. They remade her in their image. Then she made more of them. Oof. A brood mother. And we turn a corner, and that's what we see. A brood mother. It is monstrous in a way that we haven't really gotten a lot of in this game. Usually we have a monstrous in like a sexy demonic way, or a monstrous as a horned demon, or as a fiery spirit. This is just a cavalcade, a cacophony of flesh. It is massive, bloated creature with multiple tentacles and sagging flesh. It is gross.
It is gross. And you come around the corner and it's like a cutscene and introduces it, and you're like, oh my. It's shocking. It's really great. And this fight is absolutely nutty as well. So both tentacles can grab and crush any character. She will scream and summon more darkspawn to the fight. She has 3 different attacks that will knock down multiple characters to the ground, as well as a vomit attack that deals nature damage. Also, a little bit of fun lore I didn't know until I was researching this fight. You get a different kind of darkspawn depending on what race the broodmother is created from. So, a broodmother that was originally a dwarf creates genlocks. A broodmother that was originally a human produces herlocks. An elven broodmother creates shrieks, and then a Canary creates ogres. So not sure if Dragon Age or Mass Effect had this idea first, but honestly, better done in Mass Effect.
Mm-hmm.
Dano is indeed trying to regain my favor after coming guns a-blazing last week, and you know what? It's working. Good job, Dano.
Thanks.
The fight itself ends, and the camera pans up to the top of the cave where Hespith is sitting. she has one final thing to say to us. That's where they come from. That's why they hate us. That's why they need us. That's why they take us. That's why they feed us. But the true abomination is not that it occurred, but that it was allowed. Then she takes her own life, jumping off the cliff behind the broodmother that was once her friend, Laren. Surely the last time that somebody's going to jump off a cliff to take their own life in this chapter, yeah?
No.
Well, it
No,
can
not
be,
even close.
depending on choices you
It can
make.
be, yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. And we're not even done yet. So like we hit this point and you're like, surely this is it. This is the climax of this of Orzammar and of the deep roads. But no, we're still going. We're still going.
This is about this point where it's like, how much more do I have to go, Dan? Come on.
We haven't even got to Bronca yet.
I know.
It's absolutely bananas.
It's so much.
Well, we leave the dead trenches and head to the Anvil of the Void, capital A, capital V. As soon as we enter the area, we run into Bronca. For the first time, we finally found her. Yay, we did it. We could just take her home. Course successful. Quest done. Except she's gotten a wee bit mad. She doesn't have, like, the dark spawn taint that the other people we ran into, but she clearly isn't all the way there. She doesn't care anything about dwarven politics. She doesn't care about the king being dead. She doesn't care that we came looking for her. Honestly, Queen, slay, except for the fact that the only thing you do care about is finding the Anvil of the Void and learning how to create more golems. That is her singular and entire purpose. She tells us that the Anvil is on the other side of a gauntlet of traps and that she and her followers haven't been able to bypass them. So we're stuck here, and the only way it seems that we can go out is by going further in. The first trap room is a long tunnel full of darkspawn. Okay, easy enough. As we get through, we run into Bronca again, and she tells us that she is mad that Hespeth left her, and that she shouldn't have gone, and that she promised to do anything she could to find the Anvil. Bronca goes on to say that most of them were dying from the taint anyway, so no big deal, but that the women, some of them were changing. She knew what was happening, and she made it happen because this would give her an endless supply of darkspawn to test the traps. Again, seems like there are other choices that could have been made, Bronca, you paragon. But regardless, the next room is full of poisonous gas and golems. We have to fight the golems while closing 4 gas valves. The gas does a little bit of damage, but nothing that isn't too unmanageable. The third trap is a hallway full of golems and blade traps. There's a door at the end of the hallway that can't be opened until we kill the golems.
I struggled. This is where I gave up at one point during the night. Like, it was late, and I was like, got to this point, and I'm like, how do I get through this without killing the golems? Because I'm pretty sure I don't have to kill the golems to make it through. No, I was just like, forget it. And then I came back the next day, and it was fine because I was just tired.
Yeah, you have to kill the golems.
Done.
It's not the first 2 traps aren't even really like traps; they're just like rooms. And then we get to the 4th trap, which is just pure dumb. It's the worst. It's awful. This was a frustrating fight. So it is a spirit apparatus, capital S and a capital A. So you know it's important, but it really isn't. It's just a confusing fight. The spirit apparatus has 4 heads. Each head needs to be defeated to complete the puzzle. You can only damage a head by damaging the spirit anvil in front of the head, and each spirit anvil is defended by a spirit summoned by the anvil. Once the spirit is defeated, you can click on the anvil. Clicking on the anvil does 500 points of damage to the head. Each head has 1,500 hit points. You know a head is defeated when its eyes close. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
Why did they think, oh, you know what's not long enough? This section. We need to add one of the more complicated fights of the entire game to this thing right here.
It's not even a hard fight. It's like literally I had 3 characters fight whatever spirit, and then I had Leliana just trigger the glowing anvil.
And it wasn't
That's
even complicated to get or understand what you're trying to do, but you second guess yourself because you see the anvils and the spirit summon, and then you destroy it, and then you click the thing, and it obviously does damage, but it doesn't do anything other than that. And then more spirits get summoned at that one that you already did the thing, and you're like, is this wrong? And so you're kind of like, well, I don't know what else to do, so I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing. And then eventually one of them dies. I'm like, oh, okay. But what did I do to do that? And it wasn't until after the fight that I went and Googled like how the fight works. Where I'm like, oh, so you just have to do it 3 times with each head. But like, there's no indication that's how that works. So you have to just kind of assume you're doing it the right way. It was like a neat idea, but like, honestly, like, why not just have it be you do it once for each of the 4 heads and then be done? It didn't need. It wasn't like it was a hard fight. It was just unnecessarily complicated, I guess. It was fine,
it was an excuse to like have not a party member fight and have one party member just run the anvils whenever they can.
I didn't even do that. I just like killed the spear and then clicked on the anvil. I didn't even like think. I didn't even do anything fancy. It was just. I don't know.
It wasn't hard. It wasn't hard. It was just dumb.
Yeah,
it was. Put it that way.
It just there weren't any clues that what you were doing was right.
Yeah.
So like there were no until the eyes closed and you noticed that the eyes were closed.
I didn't notice they closed. I just like the anvil stopped. Some of the anvils stopped glowing, so I didn't go over there.
Yeah, it was a decision for sure. And that's it. So we're finally at the Anvil of the Void. Branka followed us because we did her dirty work for her, but there is someone else there. It's a really, really, really big golem. We're talking really honking big. It's a really, really big talking golem, and he says that he is the Paragon Caradin. So like the Paragon Caradin who died thousands and thousands of years ago. He lore dumps the entire story of how he created golems and why he needs us to destroy the anvil. The secret to creating golems is that you have to put a living soul inside the golem. That's right, golems are dwarven souls that mostly at first volunteered, but eventually weren't volunteers. The king at the time started trading golems for favors to the Tevinter Imperium. They stopped using them just to fight the Darkspawn and started using them as an everyday object that people just sort of owned. And yep, that's right. Shale used to be a dwarf. And also a friend of Caradin. They have a cool discussion if you bring her, because we learned that Shale was actually a woman. So there's a whole other DLC that goes along. Like the second half of the Shale DLC takes place in the Deep Roads, and it is basically, what if we went back into the Deep Roads and just did this whole thing again, but just for one THAIG? So it's not really worth talking about. But basically, you learn that she was a dwarf and that she volunteered, and then she kind of was like, she eventually will want to go and like learn more about herself and come to terms with the fact that she used to be squishy and not always made of stone. And her and Wynn go off to see if they can't find Shale, make Shale a dwarf again at the end of the game, which is pretty cool. So Caradin tried to stop making the golems, but when he did, the king forced Caradin's students to turn Caradin into a golem himself. They did this, but didn't know the secret to how to make control rods. That's right, we didn't mention that. So not only are these dwarves being turned into golems, but they have also created these control rods that basically force the golem to do what they say. So it's slavery. Because they couldn't make a control rod, they couldn't control him. And now is time for the big choice part of this mission. Branka argues that with the anvil, we can create golems and take back the dwarven homeland and beat back the Darkspawn. Caradin argues that the sacrifice is too great and stands by his decision to ask us to destroy the anvil. Our choice is to side with Caradin and destroy the anvil, or support Branka and keep the anvil. Support Branka and talk her into destroying the anvil. Either way, we get a Paragon's backing to choose the king, and either way, we have to fight the opposing Paragon after we make our choice. So here are our outcomes. If we side with Caradin, we kill Branka. Caradin makes us a crown for us to present to our chosen king, and then we destroy the anvil. Caradin throws himself into the lava, destroying himself. The dwarves assist us during the blight. Yes?
I want to pause here.
Yes, go ahead.
Caradin, why? We've heard from the dwarves that Grey Wardens, whenever they want to die, they just go into the deep roads, killing Darkspawn until they're defeated. Why not do that? Why not just go into the deep roads, just kill as many Darkspawn as you can, you'll eventually die, but then you're a golem! You'll kill a bunch of them! That seems better than just taking a lava nap? What's happening here, Caravan?
No, it's a really good point. I guess my only pushback would be he's basically like lived in a cave for 2,000 years. So maybe he's just like done.
I'm just done. Yeah.
Like, you know, because he was defending the anvil, right? So like he didn't leave the chamber with the anvil in it because he didn't want anybody to come and take the anvil. So like he felt like his purpose has been done. And
You want to go on a vacation before you go? I hear this great place. It's called the Deep Roads. Go there and explore as much of it as you can. I promise you, your vacation will never end.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And what's really interesting about like the first blight was Caravan and the golems were like a big reason of why they like were able to stop the first blight. They didn't stop it because I think the Grey Wardens were there, but they weren't Grey Wardens yet because that's how they defeat the whatever it's called. I'm blanking on it right now. But yeah, they were a big reason of why the first blight was stopped. So yeah, you're not wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm on your side. I'm just devil advocating it here. But no, why not go and kill as many Darkspawn as possible on your way out, you know? If we side with Branka and preserve the anvil, we kill Caravan. Branka makes a crown for us and stays to continue her work on the anvil. We get dwarves and golems assisting us during the blight at the last fight. And then if we side with Branka and then convince her to destroy the anvil, we kill Caravan. Branka makes a crown for us. Branka destroys the anvil and then throws herself into the lava. And then dwarves assist us during the final battle. Before leaving, we discover a monument with the names of the people who volunteered and not so volunteered to become golems. We can make a copy of this list and bring it back to the Shaperate for them to add to the official memories. This is also where we can see like Shale's name. We can find Shale. But she's not like really interested in this. I brought her all the way back here thinking that it'd be some cool moment. And she's like, we could take a rubbing of it if you want. And I was like, the house is not like a super cool, powerful moment. Like I walked all the way back to the deep roads to do this and like nothing's here. I went back to a previous save to not have to waste my time to go back all the way back out. I was so frustrated. All right, almost done. We swear. Once we get back, we get to select our king. If we choose Balin, he will order Haremont killed. There is no way to talk him out of this. If we choose Haremont, Balin will attack us and we have to kill him. The end, we get our help for the final battle.
Nice.
Yay!
We did
it's
it.
Finally over. And then you get to see this, go outside and see the sky once again after 84 years.
Yeah,
I think overall this section is really interesting, and if they had just cut everything in between Need a King and we found Branka, I think that this would be so tight. Like, or not necessarily finding Branka, but like the finding of the expedition. I think from there on is really, really good. But with so much leading up to it, I think it undercuts the coolness because there's a level of exhaustion, I think.
Yeah, 100%. That's where I'm at. Like, but also there is so much going on in Dwarven society that they almost need to like give you. This is the primer, I guess, for maybe future games. I don't know, but like because they're not really. Oh, so it's all a waste. Got it.
Wow.
So, but like, the fact that like, you have this tiered Dwarven society, you have this fallen empire that you're searching through this for, and it's great. It's just, there's so much, and there's so much that doesn't matter.
Yeah, where the search for Branka should have started at the Dead Trenches, like where we meet the Legion of the Dead. That's where the search for Branka should have started. Everything before that should have been side questing. Like side quest to have us go kill the big spider lady. Side quest to go find Ruck. Side quest for that's how that should have. I feel like that would have been better served.
Yeah, side quest to support whatever choice you make at the end.
Yeah, like it's
right?
just
Because
like,
that's what you because you have to do all the things for whoever you choose in order to get to the Bronca part, and it's like, come on, that should have been side quest. I agree.
yeah. So like going to the different taigs, Orton taig, Idukan taig, that stuff we could have done through side quests, and then just starts at the dead trenches, and then dead trenches go through, learn about the Legion of the Dead, which is super cool.
Yep.
Find out about the Brood Mothers, which is super cool. And then I don't know that. I mean, I guess they needed the 4 traps or whatever it was in order to give a reason for why Bronca did what she did, which is fine. And then like let us go into the final. Like, everything from meeting the Legion of the Dead onward, I think is really, really good. Like that is like, about as good as the game gets, to be honest. But getting up to it is not great. And like, a lot of the like stuff that takes place in Orzammar itself, it's fine, but like you spend a lot of time just like reading codexes, like so many codexes, and like, and then did we really need to go? Like, was the Carta necessary? Like, why did we have to go and fight the Carta? Like, and that's the only thing that really comes out of the game. It's like the Carta become kind of a big story plot in next games because they're like, on the surface, but like, it's.
I mean, the Carta worked for me because it had that connection to the beginning of the game. But
did
like
the
after
Carta
that,
dungeon need to be so big? It was huge.
No,
it was the Circle Tower
massive.
itself.
It was, and then when you're done, you walk out, and you're in like the common area next to the father.
You're in some guy's shop who gets mad at you. He's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "Hey, did you know that this goes into like a Carta hideout?" He's like, "No, don't tell anyone."
Don't think that I did something. I didn't do anything. I'm just here in my shop.
He's like, "What do you mean? You wrecked my wall. Why is there a hole in my wall? Why are you walking out of my wall?" It's really funny. Maybe that's worth it. I don't know. Any final thoughts about the Orzammar and the Deep Roads before we move on?
I'm glad it's done.
It does get a bit that way. That's the way I felt the first time we came through as well. It is a bit long-winded. Long-winded is what it is. It's just long-winded.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's get to the Naga sandwich.
Taste my grilled cheese.
Oh, sorry, do your thing.
Much.
Sorry, my bad. Matt, what's our first good?
First good. So I don't know if I've seen this before or like it became very clear in this week of playing. When you fight a boss monster, some sort of boss monster like an ogre or like something that's basically a boss, there's an amazing set of like finishing animations that the game does, where it's like goes in slow-mo and you see your character like jumping on them and stabbing and doing all sorts of things. Meanwhile, your other party's trying to kill the other mobs in the background. I mean, so it goes on a little long and can cause some problems maybe. But also, it's super cool. It's super cool.
Yeah, it's ogres and high dragons have the kill animations, and they're really cool.
Yeah,
I have a couple of screenshots of the dragon kill animation. I'll throw it in the Discord. It's really fun. It's good. It's really good.
That is cool.
What's our not so good?
Some of the side quests are just silly. Like there's one that we talked about both of these, but one is a woman has a son who is castless, and family has disowned her and told her to leave the castless son in the deep roads so the darkspawn can go and kill it. And like it's really ingrained, and she's like, my father hates me, my father hates this, and then you go and it's a single, hey, maybe don't do that. And he's like, oh, you're so right, yep, I shouldn't do that. And it's like, how has no one said anything along these lines?
He did not respect me because I did that. He's like, no, go
because you're castless.
I'm castless, go F yourself.
I didn't even try.
Interesting.
I didn't even try go talk to him. I just went and talked to brother, what's his name, who I just set up a chantry location with, and was like, "Hey, isn't it the job of the chantry to take in orphans and those who are outcast from society?" He goes, "It sure is. You got someone for me?" I'm like, "I sure do."
The other one that struck out to me was the chantry quest, because you have to go talk to this shaper who I think the line is, "Tell me why I should overturn 2,000 years of dwarven tradition." And you can just be like,
"'Cause
they do good stuff." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Yeah. That seems like a great plan." And it's like, what?
Do you know it?
I just had to say they sometimes do good stuff? What?
Do you know the best part about this? They undo that in the epilogue right away. They go, "And so brother so-and-so's chantry was kicked out of Orzammar."
Why wouldn't it be?
I like how you didn't bring up the Nug finding quest. Like that one is acceptable.
That's just finding hidden things on the map. That's all it is.
Yeah. What was the was that Mass Effect 1 where you have to go and find all of the little spider guys?
Was
that Mass Effect 2?
That was the Keeper quest in Mass Effect 1.
The Keeper quest, yeah.
Dano, what is our best good?
The scene with Hespeth, like her singing as you walk down the hallway and then finding her in the room surrounded by darkspawn corpses, some of them on spikes, others cooking, and then her talking about the horrors she lived through and wishing for her best friend to die before she did, and then having to watch her what her best friend became was haunting. It was so good. It was like truly dark fantasy, and like Dragon Age wants to be dark fantasy, but often isn't really dark. It's just kind of like a slightly dim high fantasy. I would say Dragon Age isn't dark fantasy. It's slightly dim high fantasy. But like this part of the game is truly dark, and it is really, it's kind of shocking. And because it comes out of nowhere, because everything else is kind of, you could basically like, oh, you can make, a little bit bad happens. But for the most part, like, oh yeah, the werewolves turn back into humans and they get to go join human society. And yeah, the bad elf guy died, but he lives a long life anyway, it's no big deal. With this, there is no happy ending for anyone down in the deep roads. It's all bad endings. It's all bad. They just all die. And that's the end. And then when we defeat the Blight, the Darkspawn all come back down. And so like on the surface, we get to be like celebrating that the Blight is over, but they all go back down into the deep roads and the fight never ends for the dwarves. It is cool. The game gets dark in the deep roads and in Orzammar, and it's a really neat part of the game. I really enjoyed it a lot.
He asks each traveler 3 questions. 3 questions. 3, that's a magic number. I will ask myself 3 questions.
My turn. Matt, tell me all about what are you liking so far?
I actually really enjoyed the Deep Roads section. Like the environmental storytelling was super cool. Like, anything past like Ostegar, the area together, getting down into the mines into the Deep Roads, super cool world building. It's like this cool, like destroyed, crumbled, falling empire of dwarves that, we're exploring it, and it's just amazing. I love it. I wish there was more.
Yeah. Dano, what do you like it so far?
Hespeth. The entire Hespeth story arc is amazing. So like the introduction to what Bronca did, like walking in on the Broodmother, like her telling her story, like I said during the Best Good. I love that entire arc. I thought it was fantastic, like absolutely fantastic. And it was dark, and it was like, here's my story, and she believes you're in a mage, so she's gone insane. So she calls you my mind friend or something like that because she doesn't believe you're real. She's like, why is my mind playing such a cruel trick to make this person talk to me, to make this kind thing happen to me when I don't deserve any kind things? And so like even to the very end, before she like takes a leap off the cliff, she like goodbye mind friend or something like that. And it's really dark and it's like, holy buckets. That was a
it's
lot.
Really solid.
And then it's not done. Then we have to go and confront Bronca. It's like, it's really cool. If only we didn't have like those first 2 THAIGs. It's really, really effective storytelling. Like really, really well done.
Matt, what are you struggling with?
I think we just touched on it pretty heavily. This section was just way too long. It was just way too long. It needed some trimming of some sort. I don't know what. I don't know exactly. It's just I was just happy to be finally done with it when I was done with it. And like I did the King quest. I turned in the rest of my like side quests that I was doing, and then I immediately left. And I'm like, so much better to be back. Now I gotta go back to the tower and get what's her name inducted.
Dagna?
So on the YouTube series that I'm watching for my playthrough, the Elven side quest was about, I think, 2 hour-long videos and a 30-minute video. And this one, I think there were no joke 10 videos, maybe 12, that encapsulated the entire thing. Now, not all of those are an hour, but they're all somewhere around like 30 minutes or so. And it's just, it's a jump. It is a jump. Dano, what are you struggling with?
The gear is very Mass Effect 1 at this point. Like, you get like Ruck's shield, which is cool. Like after you do the Ruck side quest, and Ruck, by the way, like you feel for Ruck too, because Ruck went through it. Like, and that's a pretty sad storyline as well. You go back, you tell Ruck's mother that he died, you lie to her. Or you don't have to, but that's what I did. And she gives you Ruck's shield, but like it's not good. It just sits in your inventory. You don't want to sell it because it's like it feels like you shouldn't sell that thing, but then also you're like, what else am I gonna do with it? And then there's also this like crazy side quest in the Deep Roads where you have to find 5 pieces of this like Upworlder's sword, and like you find them on various different darkspawn, then you find his grave and you put the sword together, and then the sword is also just meh, you don't use it. And so there's all sorts of like gear and stuff in here that I'm sure if you do this early in the game, the gear is probably worth using, but by the time you get to this point, like it's, and all the gear is so like, I'm sure if you're min-maxing and you're playing on like insanity, like maybe the gear matters. But honestly, it doesn't.
The gear doesn't matter.
The gear just doesn't matter, and it doesn't really the only armor that looks really, really cool is Kalen's armor, and then the Legion of the Dead armor. And other than that, like it all just looks the same too. So the gear is a bit of a bummer. It's very Mass Effect 1 as far as gear is concerned, where it's like we're gonna give you a ton, and you're not gonna know what to do with it. And you're like, oh, well, it's a choice. I guess.
Cool. I guess I'll sell it.
It's like I kind of feel bad, but whatever.
Yeah,
I just stopped picking up gear altogether at this point.
Smart call, Matt. What surprised you about the game?
Mobs in the Deep Roads, they are really good at setting up ambushes. It's actually really cool. They kind of kite your group, and if you're not paying attention, you can get into some serious trouble, because that's what happened to me a few times. Like you just like there's, there's like passageways where there's like 1 or 2 mobs sitting at the end of the passageway, and then as soon as you approach them, they run in, and there's a whole group of monsters there, and it's great. I love it.
Wonderful. Dano?
The deep trenches, those 2 big darkspawn in the deep trenches. Yeah. Yes, there are 2 very cool darkspawn fights in the deep trenches.
Well, like also the ones where it's like right across the bridge is also one of my favorite fights, where it's like in 1 ogre and like a dozen archers.
Yeah. Or when like when the archers, or when the archers like will like hit you and then run past some traps and get you, then like have some of the stealthers pop out and get you. There's some cool fights in here for sure.
Yeah. Super cool stuff.
My turn. I heard Stormrage say.
Yes.
So like, we're complaining a lot about this section of the game, but like even though there's a bunch to complain about, it's great. It's really good.
Yeah.
Like it's
there are high highs and low lows in this section, I think.
But the high highs are so high that it really does outshine like some of the stuff where you're like, oh, well, that was an hour of my life I don't get back. Because when it does hit, it hits really, really hard in the deep roads. It's so, and in Orzammar as well. Like it's cool. I love how both the kings are flawed, and I like how, the story of like the actual like dwarven society. It's dark, but it kind of needs to be dark. They've been fighting a never-ending battle against the Darkspawn. And so they kind of are the way they are because that's how they managed to survive. Like, the vast majority of their society has been destroyed. They had a Thetis-spanning empire that is now down to just one city. It's pretty incredible. Yeah. So it's a really, really cool story that they probably spend too much time on things that don't matter, I think. But because they're trying to tell that super cool story of the dwarves. So, yeah, I think what shocked me was how much fun this was. Because last time I played through back in 2020, Matt, I very much got in your kind of mode of like, okay, I'm just getting through this. I don't want to be here anymore. This has gone on forever. And so I didn't get to really enjoy it. This time I really savored it, and I loved it. It was great.
Yeah. I think if I didn't have the time pressure of doing it this week, I'd have been like, I would have probably liked it a lot more.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's time. Hit that button.
You want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
Matt, sell this game to a friend.
This is the area that never ends. It goes on and on, my friends. I started picking a regent, not caring who it was. He sent me on some missions to elect him just because this is the area that never ends.
Dano, sell this game to a friend.
Pick a king or rescue some bald bunnies. You pick.
Bald bunnies.
I think that's
the things.
The nugs.
Things.
The nugs.
The nugs.
So that's it for this week. Next week, we are heading toward with the final push. We are going to the Arl of Denerim's estate. We are going to the Landsmeet. We are going to Fort Drakon, and we are finally getting into the Elven Alienage. And then after that, it's the final battle. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks to all our patrons and Twitch subs for patronizing us. A special thank you to our producer and best friend forever, Ridiculous Hat. You can find the links to our Discord and our content information in the pinned comment on our Patreon page over at patreon.com/squelch.
And Dragon Age is a game, and games are supposed to be fun.
Yeah! Drink that darkspawn blood, baby!
This is the end of this show! Everybody
bye! I ran out of health poultices at the end.
That happened to me in one of the DLCs. I ran out of mana pots, and it got really hinky.
So when I was playing, I accidentally set up a macro wrong, or tactic wrong. I had Win. What I meant to do is anytime she was under 25 mana to just consume a health potion. And it was specifically for a boss battle, so I was like, I don't really care about using a bunch. But leading up to that, she just kept consuming them, like, every time. I went through 10 in, like, a fight, and I was like, you are not below 25%. What's happening? It's because I set it as anytime her mana was greater than 25%, she would consume a health pot. So she just literally was consuming health pots on cooldown, and it was terrible.
I did that exact same thing, so I reset my tactics in Awakening. So you have to reset your tactics for your new party members. And so for my mage, I was like, I gotta get my mana pot tactics set up. I have the same thing. Anytime you're 20% or below, just hit a mana pot. No big deal. We can always buy more, craft more. So I'd rather you have enough mana to heal me and for me to stay alive than for anything else. And then all of a sudden I was like, wow, how did he go through like 10 mana pots in just like 2 fights? That's insane. Like, is it just because like I set this up so early in the game, and then I went and looked at it. Yep, and it was anytime greater than like 30% mana. I was like, oh, I'm an idiot.
We're idiots together.
Yes, we are.
And if that isn't the actual tagline for Squelch, I don't know what is.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Now that I've gotten like this accessory, like, you know, I've actually turned off all auto healing and auto pods. It's a lot easier to pause, switch to character, and hit the button on this thing to like do like the pot to like whatever to do the
hotkey
lyrium potion or the whatever the hotkey is.
Yeah,
it's just so much easier to do it now.
I still have the tactics set up. I learned in Awakening, I'm not sure if they changed this in Awakening or I just didn't use it enough in Origins. If you like, as you gain new abilities and stuff, if you just like change between like passive and aggressive, it will like auto populate the new things that you've gained in there. And so it'll actually like put in like the different like new tactics and stuff. And then I would just like add in my health and mana pot, like custom things. Like, you know, if you're below 30%, use a mana pot. If you're below, and then they also introduced stand. We'll talk about all this in Awakening because there is some stuff in Awakening. You're like, oh, finally, and then you're like, oh no, that wasn't. That was you made it's worse. You added a thing and made it cool. Okay, well, that was a decision that you made 20 years ago, so I can't really complain about it too much. Mm-hmm. But yeah, cool. Should we, do we have anything to say in After Dark, or should we just go because it's Monday and I should help get Dean ready for bed?
I think it's Monday.
Gotcha.
I think we call it.
I agree. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out. That's it for this week. Next week, don't forget, we have 2 weeks left of Origins. So thanks for coming along for this wild ride. And then after that's Awakening for a few weeks. And, hey, we'll talk again next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.